Hi, Jane again. How are you?
Good, very good, very good.
Nice. So you're tuning in from Berlin, right?
Yes, very cold and kind of dark Berlin today.
Sorry about that. All right. We're just doing last minute adjustments, but we'd like to start with introductions first, and then we can hand it over to you.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Great. Can everyone see themselves, please? Thank you very much. Can you see me? So I'll just hand it over to the ladies to introduce themselves, and then we can hand it over to you. Oh, great. Let me start.
Cool.
So I'm Coco M, DJ, I'm a producer, and I make films as well. And I'm grateful for David for putting us in touch. I'm very excited for you to be here for this session today. I feel super honored, first of all, the work that you're doing, and you being a female music sound producer, mixer, an engineer, a composer. So it's super inspiring for the rest of us because we're just used to seeing guys in this field, and up until now, you're the only femme tutor we've had today. So, Karibu, welcome to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Great.
Awesome.
So behind me, we have Fluid. Take it away, Fluid.
Hi. I'm Fluid, but I go as Juliet Karaoke as well. I would not say anything more to top off what Coco Emma said. It's amazing what you're doing for us because we do not have enough educators and mentors. And this is really something great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm a DJ and after this, a producer as well.
Yes. Awesome.
Yep. Next, Malkia.
Hi, Jen. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Hi, I'm Malkia and I'm a DJ and of course wannabe producer. So I happened to check your Instagram and it's quite inspiring. I saw a lot of hardware. I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm a total hardware geek. Yes.
So I'm excited to learn. Yeah.
Cool. Lovely to meet you.
Cool. Next, Janice.
Hi, Jane.
Hello.
I'm Janice. I'm a singer, songwriter. I'm just starting to produce. I'm also just starting to DJ. And yeah, I'm excited to be here to learn from you. Yeah, it's been a really great, exciting journey. And yeah, like Emma said, you're the first female tutor we've had, and we need more. So.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Cool.
Thank you.
Right. Well, who am I? I guess some of you have had a look on my Instagram. You can also check out my website, which is janearnsion.com afterwards, maybe if you want to have a look. I mean, I'll probably tell you most of the stuff that's on there anyway. So my background it's really varied. I guess the best thing to say is that I just am deeply passionate about sound. It's just something that I've always just had an urge to explore, and I think that at the base of it is the way that I kind of process life, like how I deal with emotions or how I understand, I don't know, it's kind of become a part of me. So I have a long and varied history with doing music. It's starting off when I was a kid, choirs and all that kind of stuff. And then I've been really fortunate that I've had formal education, and I went to a conservatoire in Australia doing classical music. And then it was a little bit too serious for me, I think. And then I wanted to be a bit wild and rebellious. So I went into the recording industry, and I went to, I got an internship at a very well-renowned analog recording studio, which is where my obsession with gear kind of started, because all this really amazing old beautiful vintage gear that was just so expensive and crazy. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I started out. And then from there, I guess it's been a process for me to kind of try and find out who I am. through all these different things that I've done and find out what is like, yeah, who I am as an artist, and also what I have to offer, the best of what I have to offer as is it a producer, or is it a performer, or is it a whatever, can it be all of them or not, or whatever. So I think that's kind of where I've been developing in terms of my creative life for the last couple of years. And then of course concurrently, as you said, there's not enough female mentors and educators, and also people that are professionals giving that visual reference of like, yes, I can do it. You know, I didn't know any female engineers at all. And so, you know, it became, I was complaining about it probably all the time to various friends. And then someone just said, why don't you do something about it? Just do it. You know stuff, like teach people, you know. And then I was like, oh, and you kind of always think that you're not good enough and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, yeah, you just kind of do it. And then slowly, bit by bit, I kind of kept on doing it. And then I guess that the where I've come recently is that I have been in education for like 15 years or something now, like a long time. And still, I'm the only girl in the room, you know. And even I'm teaching I'm doing Bachelor of Music degrees and stuff, and there's only like 2 girls that are studying this Bachelor of Music. And so I realized like there's some systemic problems here. It's not just about come and get an education. It's like, let's try and understand what is really going on, and support the areas that need to be supported, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of become my mission in the last couple of years. So that's the kind of the quick, you know, review of my life, I guess, for the last kind of 15 years. Yeah, so that's the kind of intro. I guess, I mean, I can be formal and give you a kind of like a PowerPoint and walk through stuff, or I could also just how do you want to run this? And maybe Emma, do you want me to
Yeah, for sure. If you had something prepared, like a presentation, that would be good, because we're still giving people time to come in.
Cool. Okay.
And then we can now like do another reintroduction for the people around, because I'd asked them to prepare some questions for you. And
cool,
then,
cool.
yeah, we'll just take it from there. Yeah. So for sure, you can share the presentation.
Okay, so we'll go for it then. All right, sweet. So, can you all see that? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yo. Okay. Cool. Okay. So I kind of gave you the background, so I won't go through that again. But like, just to give you all of the different hats that I'm currently wearing and jobs that I've managed to find my way in. You know, the most important to me at the moment is Pathwaves. You can see my little banner beside me there. So I founded Pathwaves last year, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. So founder of Pathwaves, I have been the head of production, which means I have been in charge of the degrees. So I'm in charge of all of the staff, all of the tutors that teach, is about 20 tutors. The students, we have about 100 students, and I've been developing that course since we had 10 students in the first year. So it's really grown over the last couple of years. I've also been really instrumental in how we've developed the facilities for the students. Again, my gear geek, I've been enjoying the opportunity to think about how we build our studios. And of course, like developing and making sure that the curriculum and the way that we teach is challenging and is relevant for the students that are coming through. So that's at Beam Institute. So it's music studies, Bachelor of Arts in music production. Then I'm also Adam Audio product specialist, and Adam Audio is a speaker company. And I got that job. Well, again, me being a geek, I went and did a studio tour where they show how they made the speakers. And evidently I was so excited about the process of making speakers. I guess a lot of people would find that boring, but I found it kind of interesting. So I was so excited that they were like, wow, you really like our products, don't you? Do you want to work for us? And I was like, all right, you know, so then that kind of happened, which has been really great. And also Native Instruments, I have been a product specialist for them. It's kind of a freelance thing. So I've been involved in the development of Machine Jam, and I did some touring and I did performances associated with that, and I've done lectures and videos as well, some of the guide videos, also the Machina 3, and then the Complete Control 2, is it? I'm not quite, I can't remember what the numbers are. Anyway, I've been involved with I've been given some input into the product development, but also kind of promotion and education around the products. So yeah, so I love Machina, it's really good fun. I'm also the APRA ambassador in Berlin, and APRA is the Performing Rights Association in Australia. It's similar to, I don't know what the equivalent would be in Kenya, but it's similar to PRS in the UK or BMI in the US. So what I do with that is basically be a representative for songwriters and producers that are Australian but that are living in Europe. Things like social events, or also through the work that I do with Pathwaves, that also falls under my ambassador kind of role. And you know, through that, it's helped me to raise my profile as a producer and songwriter. And I've been doing lots of co-writing and trying to, you know, getting more kind of relations and more songs happening for commercial release. So that's been really great. And then we're getting aside all of that businessy stuff, at heart, I'm an artist, I'm a composer, I'm a producer, and I have my own solo projects. I've got a piano album that I'm kind of trying to get finished. I have a band that I'm in, and I kind of do lots of different collaborations and writing and stuff like that, kind of whenever I can. So kind of currently got quite a backlog of stuff. So then in terms of the things that I do, and when I say what I do, this means like what I get hired for and how I get paid, I guess. So I'm a studio engineer by training, and particularly these days I'm a specialist mix engineer. And yeah, that's probably the most common way that people hire me to be an engineer. I'm a record producer, and again, that's been something that has been really building up, particularly over the last 2 or 3 years. And under the heading of record producer, pretty much all of the other things kind of happen whilst I'm producing records for artists. So quite often it's co-writing situations where we get together and develop a song together. Sometimes it's me enhancing the arrangement. I have a classical background, so I know about orchestration and stuff. So I might do a brass orchestration, or I might do a string orchestration. Also, vocal production is one of my specialities, and I've actually just spent 3 days with my head inside Melodyne and getting a vocal production finished. So it's very, very detailed, time-consuming work, but it's beautiful when you get the vocals right in a pop song, for example. It's all about the vocals. So I'm also a multi-instrumentalist, love to play any instrument I can get my hands on. I don't know how good I am at all of them, but I have a go anyway, and I just love to play music. And then through that, I've been a session musician. So I did a lot of work as a bass player and a singer were my main 2 instruments that I used to get paid for to do work. I also sometimes do commercial composition. So occasionally an ad or something, I might do music for an ad. Just with a friend of mine who's a filmmaker might ask me to do that. So I'll do that. And then, as I've already said, I'm a mentor. I do lots of mentoring in different ways for various people, a professional educator and a product specialist. Whew. So yeah, I keep myself pretty busy, and I must say that since COVID, I'm trying to do less and focus, just like enjoy more and make more music. Yeah. I mean, I already said when I did the intro about my background, and I just did some bullet points here. So I started off in choirs and church choirs and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, as long as I can remember, music's kind of just been a part of it. But it wasn't until I was, I guess, like 18 or 20 when I felt compelled to do music, and then started to have the courage to maybe take it on as a career. My family were very against it. My family are conservative country people, and the idea about doing music was scary because it's not safe in terms of financially and all this kind of stuff. And the world of music is sex, drugs, and rock and roll and all that kind of stuff. And my family were not not so keen on it. So I, it was something that I really had to push. It was my choice, and so it was something that I had to know that I was prepared to make all the sacrifices to do it. And it has been significant sacrifices in my life to follow this passion. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's, I'm most happy, as you can see here in this picture, I'm most happy when I'm sitting behind a big old analog console. It's definitely my happy place. So I went on, I studied, I went to school and I studied, and, I don't think you have to have formal education, but I am someone that believes in taking time, whether you go to a school or not, giving yourself a period of time where you submit to learning. I think that's really important, because if you learn and you give yourself the proper foundations, then you can do anything, and I really think that's, that links to why I have devoted a lot of my time to educating, because it's just that that's power. If you learn and you get the skills, then you really can have the opportunity to go for these things that were not accessible to you before, let's say. So I studied music. I got an internship into a big recording studio. I got into my first engineering job was in Australian Idol, which is like X Factor. I don't know what the equivalent is in Kenya, but I'm sure they have something similar over there. And this is where I had no idea what I was doing at all. Like, I had no skills, or I was like totally winging it, like no idea. And I was thrown into the deep end, and then Cyndi Lauper was standing next to me, and there was a live television cross to the news, and then the desk stopped working, the sound stopped, and I was the engineer, and they just said, fix it. But I didn't know how to do it. I was like, I don't even know what the buttons do on this desk, So that was my first, it's become a really massive lesson to me, because my first instinct was to give up, was to run away, was to go, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. But I just, for whatever reason, I don't know, I just tried. I think I was just hitting every button, and then eventually kind of did miraculously work for me at the last minute. But that was a really big moment for me, because it made me realize that it was the first of many of these kinds of moments of me feeling out of my depth, but that somehow I got it somehow in my energy or whatever, I managed to always somehow get through. So that was a big thing. Then I moved to, so I've always been doing my own music and my own compositions. I do kind of a range of stuff, from like really kind of weird electronic experimental stuff and ambient things, classical music, orchestral work, to punk, and to like living in Berlin. It's a big techno city, so doing dance music, kind of neo soul is one of my big passions as well. And so kind of all over the place. I just really like to do lots of different music. And the reason that I came to Berlin was that I wanted to indulge in that and see what would happen if I did that. And Australia is a very expensive place to live, and at the time Berlin was really cheap, so I could come and I didn't have to work so much. I could just find, there's really, really cheap apartments, and I could just find any way to survive, and and just try and see what I could do with music. And I did that for a couple of years, and then things started to get expensive, and I needed to kind of get a job and get going. But I was ready to then, because I'd given myself that time to experiment, and really fortunate that I was able to do that. So then kind of fast forward to today, and the hustle that I've got going with all the million jobs that I've taken on, that's kind of where we get to. So I've already said how I got started, and I do kind of want to bring out a few points here, is that it is a real hustle, I think, to make it as a professional in this industry. I think in every industry, but I certainly think that the music business, and particularly if I say the music business, the recorded music business or the studio business, which is what I'm into, and being a producer and engineer, it is 100% hustle, because there's never a job advertised anywhere. You just have to put yourself in the middle of things and kind of make stuff happen. And that to me was really scary. I mean, I didn't even know, not even scary, I had no idea how to do it. I didn't know what to do. So I made many mistakes. But I guess the one thing that I did know how to do was I knew how to persevere. I'm very relentless, and I'm very, you know, dogged, I guess is the word. So I just kept on going. I kept on going, and I've had so many knockdowns, so many rejections, very, very hard moments. But I think also the other thing that I want to bring forward is that my motivation is not to be successful fundamentally. I want that, but my motivation is my love of music. That's the core of everything that I do. And so I can handle being rejected by someone else because I know the value in my work for myself first, even though that's hard sometimes, but I think that's the reason that I have kept on going through all these years. I also had to do lots and lots of free work or very low fee work, which is, you know, a lot of people talk about the ethics around that, but it's just a reality. Like, that's just what people have to do so far. I mean, that's what I had to do it. I had to fit it in around my other jobs. You know, that was just the reality of it. Yeah. So, and then I said yes to everything. And this saying yes to everything is kind of permeated my life now. And now I still say yes to everything, and maybe I don't need to. And I'm trying to learn to say yes to things that I feel very passionate about and start to prioritizing. But I certainly said yes to everything in the beginning. I do want to bring out again for a few further points here is that for me, the thing, oh, hang on, sorry. I just have to move, I can't see, something's in the way there. There we go. So these are a few things, like, I don't know if this is useful to you, but just from my experience, and those of you that are wanting to get into the industry and wanting to be producers or wanting to be engineers, this, I don't know, share it with you and tell me what you think. For me, confidence, I built confidence through learning. So if I didn't have skills, you know, that's an easy-ish way to learn and just practice and do it and do it and do it. And that gave me confidence because I started to realize that I had all these new skills and I had new capacity. So learning and giving myself the gift of learning and putting time and prioritizing time to improving myself and improving my skills is a very big thing for me. I also say our industry is all about networks. But I've got to be honest that when I was coming up, and it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was 100% men, and most networking events were really uncomfortable for me. And to be honest, I mean, I don't want to be negative, but there's certainly some inappropriate behavior going on at different places. And so I didn't go to them. I felt really cautious about it. So the thing that I've learned now is that I didn't understand what networking was, and maybe you already know it before, and I don't need to tell you, but it's about creating communities, and I don't have to go to someone else's network. I can make my own network. And I think that's obviously what you are doing, and what Emma is doing, is making your own communities and building that and strengthening that and working with each other. That's how you create networks, and you create your own economy around supporting and working with each other. And I think that's really an important one for me. I've already talked about working for free, so I won't say that again. The other reality for me was cold calling. So I really just had to put away my ego and start calling people and saying, do you need any help? Are you available? That was such a hard thing for me to do. And I also thought in my brain was going, oh, everyone's going to say no, they'll reject you straight away. But I did it anyway. And surprisingly, people said, yes, come on in, you know, and we'll give you a go. So that's actually how I got started in the recording studios, by just calling up literally and saying, can I send my CV? Can I meet you? I really want to work. I love this, whatever. And they took a chance on me and gave me a job. Now, the last ones here is the reality of when you start off. I was a bit kind of arrogant, I think, because I had gone to a music school, and I made some mistakes by thinking that I should be not that I should be doing more than making coffee, but I was kind of excited to participate in the creative process. But I was an assistant, you know, I was just there to, as I said, make coffee and help people out and clean the studio. And I was not realizing the roles and appreciating the level that I was at, when my job was to help people out, be, you know, really flexible, really available, and the amazing education that I was getting just by watching what was happening around me. And that's something that I really notice now when I take on assistants and things like that. a lot of the people, the younger people, are really, I don't know, they're not prepared to make coffee, you know, and to do the kind of small things. They want to get straight into the studio. And I get that, but I do think it's also, you know, you kind of have to earn the right, I think, to offer up creative insight and input. So that's something that I learned the hard way, and I guess most people do as well. So yeah, that's my reflections on how, you know, me looking back at how I kind of developed. All right. So as I've said a few times, I'm talking about opportunities and I'm talking about hard work. And I think, you know, people talk about an industry and how you get a lucky break, you know, and I think that I've never liked luck because it's something that's out of my control. And I'm a bit of a control freak. I don't know if you can tell that, but for me, luck is, and I don't know, this is it's a saying, I don't know who said it originally, but luck equals hard work and opportunity. So that was something that I could go for. And I'm like, cool, hard work and opportunity. I'll do the hard work and I'll wait for the opportunities. But I also found that sometimes opportunity does come to you, but other times it doesn't. And you have to, and sometimes you're kind of excluded, which is what I found also, that I was a female wanting to be an engineer or a record producer, and there were none around, and no one understood that I could do it. And so they didn't give me the opportunities. So I've learned really that it's not about waiting for opportunities. I had to start to create these opportunities for myself. And kind of forward track to now, that has been the motivation for me to create Pathwaves, in that I realized that, you know, we're sitting, well, when I say we, I mean me, sitting around waiting for things to change, waiting for someone else to change things, you know? And it's like, well, who's going to do it? I want change to happen. I need to make the change. So that's what Pathwaves is about. Here's a few pictures from Pathwaves. This is actually Pathwaves 2019. We just had Pathwaves 2 weeks ago in Berlin, the 2020 version. It was a bit challenging because lockdown 2.0 happened and we couldn't all be in the studio like these participants in 2019 were. So we did kind of online, an online kind of education and co-writing session, and we're going to do this whole studio thing hopefully next year when lockdown reduces. But, you know, you can see most people, when we have these Pathwaves events, no one has been in a studio where there's been 100% women in the room before. And we actually was a really funny little anecdote. There was a guy came, I can't even remember who he was, but a guy came in and he was an assistant engineer, I think, at the studio, and he commented to someone, he's like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable being the only guy in the room. And you know, and at that moment I was like, what a great moment for him to understand how women feel every day when they're the only woman in the studio, you know. So it was a lovely moment. I mean, I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable, but it was a really interesting moment, I thought. And the feedback that I get from all of the participants that work on this is that, and it's not about not working with men. I think I really want to make that point. It's about creating opportunities for nurturing and fostering development, because, you know, oftentimes, you know, the male environment in studios has a certain energy, and there's a competitive, and it's just a different vibe. And I think certainly when particularly marginalized people might be trying to learn and develop, a bit more nurturing approach is needed. And I think that's what this is about. And all of these amazing producers and engineers go on to collaborate and work with people from everywhere. And it's not just about only working with women. But in saying that, everyone really enjoyed this opportunity to do that, because it's just never happens. It just never happens that you would have a studio that is staffed entirely by women. So yeah, so that's Pathwaves. And just some final little things here. Yeah, so this is my spiel that I give to people when I'm trying to get them to give me money, basically, to support the initiative. You know, but it's all very true. So there is, in the recent Billboard figures, it was in 2019, showed that there were only 2% of all the producers registered for, and it was the songs that were in the top 100, only 2% of them had female producers. And we have, people say, oh, women aren't interested, or we don't have, there's no one, I would work with a female producer, I just don't know any, and all of this kind of stuff. And I think that that's all true. That's true, that what they say. But rather than just accepting that as the end of the conversation, I think that's when the conversation starts. So for me, if we're lacking of women who have high level of skill as producers, we need to train more. You know, we need to give them support to learn. We also need to think about the support structures and the barriers there are to, like, being able to navigate, to know where to go. How do I develop myself? Who do I turn to? How do I improve my networks or whatever? Also, the reality that there's lack of real work opportunities. So through putting people together, creating networks, they start to, you know, increase the web of potential collaborators as well. And as I said before, we don't, you know, women are not generally, they're just not as engaged in the traditional education that I've been invested in for the last however long. They're invested in traditional education, but not in music production. I don't know why that is, but it is a thing that I've observed. So yeah, so as I said, something needed to change. So events to create community, encouraging marginalised people to work together and try to create their own communities, focusing on skill development, particularly in these studio environments. And the other really important thing is access to equipment, because you can't get good at using something if you don't have access to it, you know. So this is a very big one for me, is like getting people an opportunity to work in these studios, you know, that, oh my gosh, I hate to think about how expensive they are, but these kinds of opportunities is really important, I think. And then the final thing I said here, raise visibility of marginalized people being legends, because we've got so much talent, but it's just like where people don't see it. So I think it's really important to, you know, document, take photos, get opportunities, and really raise the profile and raise the voices, the music, and the amazing work that so many people are doing. So, yeah, so then the final thing, like, what does the future hold for me? A future filled with music, should I say. Currently I am hoping to do this before Christmas, but I don't know if I will be able to. I have a solo piano album that I'm finishing. I also have 5 artists that I'm working with to try and wrap up a couple of projects. Next year, I have a big ambitious plan. I don't know if it's going to happen yet, but I have an idea to set up my own studio here in Berlin. More Pathwaves planning, and again, for me, really just focusing my skills and my expertise on uplifting marginalized people and giving them opportunities, making, you know, amazing music, more diverse, more different voices, makes the general musical experience more enriching. So that is me. I think that's the end of my slideshow. It is. Thank you so much. I hope that was interesting.
That was very interesting. Thank you. And I feel like a lot of what you've said resonates with me personally, with the ladies here, in that we work in very super male-dominated fields. And even when you have the guys respect you, there's always, like, you know, locker room jokes, just an atmosphere that kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. So I feel like what you're doing, what we're trying to do here as well is timely, and I hope for like future collaborations and stuff. And I want to open the floor for questions, but I'd like to give a few participants a chance to introduce themselves. So we have Labdi, Black Moon, Ivy, and Rafiki, who's unable to join us physically, but she's just signed in here. Yes.
Oh, cool.
So who do we start with?
Hi, my name is Black Moon.
Hi.
I'm a singer-songwriter, guitarist, DJ from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm happy to be here, happy to be part of this amazing learning experience. Definitely will set us on the step ahead, you know, with everything. Yeah.
Cool, lovely to meet you. Yeah, that's definitely, you know, I think these kinds of gatherings, there's, I mean, lots of benefit, but absolutely the idea of this collective energy that then spurs us all on to kind of go home and like continue the work and continue developing and stuff. So really cool. Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Ivy. I am a DJ and amateur producer. I am very, very glad to be here, especially in this kind of environment where it's very natural because we're all women. We all face the same challenges as DJs and artists in general. So this is a very special opportunity for all of us, really. Like not only to grow, but like to also, while we're growing, we get to expand our knowledges in our creative spaces individually. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Great, lovely to meet you.
And lovely.
Hi, my name is Lovely. I'm a Lovely. I'm a singer-songwriter and a performer. I play an instrument called Ableton. It's a single-stringed fiddle from Western Kenya. And the interesting thing about that instrument is that women were not allowed to play it. So I'm really interested in inspiring the young people, especially women, and women especially, to take up traditional instruments and I'm really happy to be here as well to learn how to produce, because it's about time, and it's about time also that I incorporate that, you know, the traditional side with the more technical side. So thank you so much for sharing your insight with us, and it's really important also that we know that the struggles we have in Nairobi are not any different from the struggles you have in Berlin. You know, guys are guys and they like elbowing their way into everything, but having a network that is as strong as this, and everyone is so focused, and I admire each and every one of the ladies sitting here today. So it's a great thing to be here today.
Cool, thank you so much. Yeah, I think there's also, if I just want to comment on that, I think another one of the things that a lot of people, well, women are getting involved in production is about self-determination, like the idea that if you want to do something that you can actually do it all yourself. You might choose not to ultimately, but I think it's just that ability to be like, okay, let's say for what you're saying, Labdi, is like you're going and recording traditional instruments, or maybe you maybe you just want to be able to do it yourself rather than needing to wait for someone else to come and support or whatever that might be. And I think that's a big one, was a big one for me in the beginning. And I think also so many people that I've been teaching and stuff is that idea about, yeah, I just want to do it myself, you know. And I think that's really important. And as you say, it's time, like, let's do it. It's time for us to all, the time is now everywhere, you know. Cool. Yeah. Oh, I think I can't. Is Emma, are you muted still?
Hi.
Yo.
Sorry, I was just checking on the mic because David said it sounded a bit low. So I guess you guys need to shout in the meantime till I get some tech support. But can you hear us clearly on the other side? It's a bit low. All right. So last but not least, Rafiki.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
So my name is Rafiki. I'm a singer-songwriter. And yeah, I'm doing this because, just like you said, it's finally time. It felt something for me in order for me to do. So that's why I'm taking this course, and I'm really, really, really happy to be here.
Amazing. Lovely to meet you. Oh,
thank you. Great. Cool. So, do you guys have questions?
Is it also time to maybe do some of your music?
Yes, yeah, that. Who's playing music today? Who's playing music? I asked them they're feeling a bit shy. I don't know why. Oh, professional is here, sitting over here.
No pressure. No pressure.
There's no pressure.
So I told them there was no pressure, but if they wanted to share something, I think Fluid has something. So we're going to find a way to send it to my email and then play it for you in a few minutes.
I mean, also, I just, on a selfish level, I'm really intrigued as to what music, or what, even if you don't call it, if you haven't finished your songs or whatever, just like what sounds you've been making this week, what has come out, you know, like it doesn't need to be polished or finished or anything. I'm just really intrigued. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, in the meantime, if anyone has any questions or anything, maybe we do that now whilst we get the song set up.
Yeah. Q&A. Anyone have any questions, comments?
I don't know. I came a bit late, but I don't really know what Pathwaves are. Is it? Could you maybe get into that a little bit?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So Pathwaves is an event that I created. It started last year, 2019, and it is the core of it is a week-long production camp that happens at a commercial studio. So the idea is the idea came is that there have been quite a few songwriting camps, so female-focused songwriting camps to support people writing music, but they kind of just get it to the demo stage and then leave it off. And I was like, well, hang on a second, that's when I really come into action. I'm a producer and I make it sound, I record it properly and I produce it properly and I mix it properly. And that was being left, you know, again, to men, because mainly men are in these roles. So the idea was like, let's do a writing camp, but we actually start, well, they kind of do a demo session beforehand, and then when they've got the song kind of basically worked out, then we get to the studio, and then we work with really high quality gear, microphones, preamps, analog desks, outboard effects, and all of the great stuff that you see in studios, which most people have never had access to. You can't even get their hands on it. So most people are like, oh, what does this do? And it's really an environment that is really intimidating. Like studio environments are very intimidating for people. So the idea is like, we get in there, we take it over, we have a week there to get used to it and to learn how not only just to use the equipment, because I recognize that most people wouldn't be able to walk in there and just use it to a professional level. So I also offer, there's a skill program. So in the morning we do masterclasses around a certain topic, such as recording and preamps and transformers was something I was talking about, which is very geeky, but whatever. And then they get to work on developing their song. And we also have mentors there that are there to guide them if ever there's a problem. So we make sure that the focus is on, really good quality work at the end of the day, but we don't just leave people to it. So that's the idea, basically. It's the pillars of Pathwaves are skills, networks, and visibility. So through this camp, we upskill, we build networks, and we raise the visible, the profile of all the people that are in it. So that's Pathwaves, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Are you having another one next year?
Yes, it almost killed me this year. It was very stressful. However, yes, we will be doing another one. But yeah. COVID, I was planning to kind of go, I mean, it's not in a capitalist sense, but to go global, like to really try and develop it in local communities everywhere. So I was talking with one of the Pathways participants in 2019, is from India, and we were talking about doing one in Bangalore in India, and I'm Australian, so I was thinking about going to Australia. I'm doing one in the UK next year, I think. So I think it's a kind of thing that I'd really like to support people to develop in their local communities. So maybe we do a Pathwaves Nairobi in a couple of years, or whenever, as soon as we can. That would be something that potentially we could look at in the future. Yeah.
And does it support people who are just entry-level producers, or you have to have had some sort of experience before applying?
I mean, I think you have to have some experience, but I think that the main thing for me is that it's real. So if whatever the local community needs, wherever the skill is, we start there, I think. So, if if there are people, if we don't have people that are actually working to a professional level as producers, then we change the kind of format slightly, make it more education and less kind of commercial end product, and start where we need to, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Anyone else?
Yeah. I saw you are a studio engineer and a specialist mix engineer. Okay, personally, I thought it's just sound engineering, but it's interesting to know that there's like specifics with it. So if I want to learn like sound engineering, is it something that I'll have to specialize in specific type of engineering, or if I want to just be knowledgeable in all kinds of engineering, or I don't know how it works?
I understand the question. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, I mean, initially the skill set is sound engineering, which is understanding signal flows, some basic electronics, and learning about how the gear works in the studio, I guess. Or if a live sound engineering, a similar kind of thing. So there's a general skill set, and once you learn that, then you might go, oh, I really love doing it live, or I love to be in the studio, or maybe I love recording people and the energy that happens when you record. Or for me, I really love, I'm a Virgo, so I'm really detail oriented and kind of a bit, a perfectionist. So mixing is a really place for me where I really enjoy kind of getting into the detail. So I use the same skills. I think about signal flow, and I think about compression and equalization and these kinds of things that all engineers do, but I'm focusing on the mixing and the putting together of the song rather than the beginning part. So there are engineers that do all of it, and there are engineers that specialize. So you will find your way with that, I think, once you get into it.
Right, thanks. So I was just knew it's just sound engineering and that's it. So it's good to know that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah.
And what about the mixing part? Is it like the aesthetics of the room, and do all those things matter as compared to like recording and all that?
Yeah, I mean I think that. So I mean, a song that is well recorded is the most fundamental thing, because if it's badly recorded, it doesn't have to be like expensively recorded, but I think recording is capturing the essence of the magic that is music and sound, I think. So if you manage to capture the essence that's music and sound, that's the main thing. Mixing at the end is like, I kind of compare it's like tidying your room or something. It just makes it better. It makes it feel and look better, and it makes, for the listener, they get the intention of the song is communicated at its best, I guess. So that the mixing out. Yeah, sorry, I went off topic. So does the room matter? Yes, it definitely matters, because when you're mixing, you want to know the truth of what's happening in the sound, and because sound happens, it happens in space, and then as the sound is moving through your room and bouncing off all the walls or whatever, it changes the frequencies and it changes the aspects of the music, and you need to know what they are. So getting reasonable speakers, if you're going to be a mix engineer, reasonable speakers, and also doing some basic acoustic treatment, which you can do. You can do it a little bit of. It is a little bit of an area where people start to be like, oh gosh, this is so confusing. But you can learn about it and do, basic adjustments and stuff like that. I mean, even when you're producing, do you produce in your bedrooms, or have you got any little space? Or because bedrooms are actually quite good because they have lots of clothes and books, and they naturally end up being kind of like well-treated rooms quite often if you've got lots of stuff around. So it's not a bad place to be doing stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I don't know if the ladies are. I have one more question. What's the difference between mixing and mastering, or it's all the same thing? Because
no, they're different. Yeah, that's a good question. Mixing is when you take all the individual tracks from your song or whatever. So let's say you got 20 tracks or 40 tracks, bass, kick, snare, whatever, keys, vocals, la. You take all of those separately and then you make adjustments to all of the different tracks so that they work together as a whole. When you're mastering, you have bounced down your song into a stereo file, like a digital file, waveform, or whatever you do, right? And then the mastering engineer works on that. And so they only have 2 tracks to make adjustments and change. So the mastering is, I'm not a mastering engineer, but the mastering is they maximize the loudness of the track. So they get it up so it sits next to other songs that have been finished, like on the radio or Spotify playlist or whatever. It also does tonal adjustments to the overall track, so changing the frequency and the EQ. It also does, well, various things like maybe the stereo field. It might make adjustments to the mono and the stereo to make them balance better. There's a whole bunch of things that it does, but essentially it's like, okay, so if I said before that, what was it, my analogy? Mixing is tidying your room. Mastering, I don't know if I can keep that that analogy going. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Is that did I explain it?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Okay, maybe one last.
Okay, you've got a question.
On the hardware part, I think it's off topic, but if you get like, I have a machine that I got from someone who got it from someone, and so there's no like, the key, it was lost. And so I'm wondering just if you can, what can you recommend in that scenario? Because when you go and register on the website, they tell you the machine has already been registered. Yeah, so I don't know if it comes down to cracking it or if you have recommendation.
As long as Native Instruments are not on the call here, so here we go. We've got David can help there. The X.
I can help you out there.
Cool.
Great.
I'll leave that with him.
Yeah.
Easy. Yes. So I want to ask you all a question as we're talking about like Machine or Ableton or whatever. Who of you you were using Ableton this week? Is that right? Yeah. Who uses Ableton already? Did anyone already use it? No? Yeah. Oh, you already did. Okay, so some of you did, some of you didn't, right? So what other DAWs are you using? What other like Logic or Cubase or
Fruity Loops?
Fruity Loops, yeah. How's the transition to Ableton? Because I think that can be it's quite a different brain, I think, going over to Ableton. So so tell me about like, what did you do like this week in terms of your development? What for, maybe I can ask you all, like, what was like one thing in terms of your skill development, one thing that you got out of so far this week, like something new in Ableton or insight into your songwriting arrangement, or like give me some ideas about what you've been doing this week. Anyone?
So shy.
I mean, it's been a lot.
I remember before getting into Ableton, I tried to dip my feet into Logic. And to be honest, I thought that my experience with Logic was simpler because Logic is just as easy as GarageBand. I feel like Logic is GarageBand that to school. So it was easy, but then when I transitioned from Logic to Ableton, the culture shock was real because like, what is this interface? What does this do? What does that do? And then eventually, especially with the classes, you realize that it's not really much. It's just that it's more details, which is good because it improves the sound in the end. But then personally, for me, my confusion was getting around what does what do you need for this type of genre of music that you're trying to create. And so like this week, what I learned, what was important for me, like what I took out was that less is more, because most of the time you have lots of ideas in your head and you want to implement all of them, but it's not necessary, you know. So
true. That's so true. I'm still learning that.
Yeah. So that is what I took home, and I feel like it's really important because I feel like the less elements you have, the better the quality of the sound eventually, like in the end.
Yeah, that's a great thing to have realized and to be learning. And then it also, you can't, I think one of those things when you have less is more, you can't hide behind throwing lots of things in. Like people often put lots of things, like lots of ideas, but the key to really good songwriting and production is having a good idea and then like crafting it, like a sculptor sculpts stone or something, or works with wood. You have something and then you work it and you develop those ideas. And I think that if you don't know how to develop it, your ideas will be bare if you don't fill it up. But that's really good. Like that's an amazing thing, insight to have had for sure. Yeah, really cool. And Ableton, when I first started using Ableton, I was the same. I'm like, what is going on here? This is so different. But it's a great fun DAW to use. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, let me say, I was using Studio One version 2 before Ableton, so it was a real shock for me. And the thing I realized with Ableton is that it's just more detailed, like she said, and it has so many little buttons which reveals like a lot more, So that's what I've been getting used to, because with Studio One it was like really simple, basic. There's a lot more features that Ableton has, which I'm actually finding very exciting, and like it's opened up more ways for me to express. So yeah. I'm excited about moving. I actually really wanted to move even as I was using Studio One. I was looking forward to moving to Ableton. So it's been really exciting for me.
Right, yeah. I think it's also, I mean, I do want to just say one thing as well, is that I think that I'm not, I think all like DAWs are a tool, they're a tool at the end of the day. And the thing that's most important is your creativity. And I think because people get really, Ableton's the best, Pro Tools the best, Logic's the best, like they're all good, and there's some of them have better features different features. So for me, like Ableton is amazing for sound design and for production and for like kind of creative workflows and things like that. I don't like it for mixing though, for example. I like to use Pro Tools for mixing. And I like to do arrangements, like string arrangements in Logic, because I think that the way that is set up for MIDI is really, really good. So, I just think that ultimately it's about you finding what is the way that helps you express yourself best, and I think that that's the most important thing for me ultimately. But Ableton is a really amazing tool, defo. Yeah, it's a really good DAW. So that's really cool to hear your insights.
So I have something to say. I really enjoyed the workshop because it felt like years of experience just crushed down into it. It's my second time using Ableton. So when Emil was doing his thing, I'd be like, okay, so this is a hack to this, because I'd spent all my time, trying to figure this out. This goes wrong, you have to reset back. It felt really nice having all that experience put into one sitting. That was great. And what you said about community, being able to meet some of these ladies today and interact with them, listening to what they do, I really feel like maybe I can do a project with this lady who's doing all the instruments, because I'm thinking of maybe doing that. I wouldn't have known that outside this. So
amazing. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. It is. It is really about that, and realizing that we can like work with each other and we can make music together, and then we can also develop and like as we improve alongside each other, and we, you know, like it's just really great. I'm so excited to see this happening, and that I've been able to, like, in a little way, be a part of it today. So it's really, really cool. Awesome stuff.
Thank you in a big way, actually, and thank you. And also, David, thank you. This is the laptop that I'm using. So
cool.
You guys are making sure we learn, and that's amazing.
Yeah, really cool. Great stuff.
Yeah, I also wanted to add that I really love and admire the intentionality of putting each other on in Pathwaves, increasing everyone's visibility. I think that's so important because it has to be intentional as well. So I really, I like that.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's also one of the things is like with this Pathways, people are often kind of saying, suggesting just do one thing, just teach, or just give co-writing, or just do content creation. And I was like, well, no, but it kind of, they all happen at the same time. And like, I think that it needs to happen together to make this web like strong in a way. So, yeah, it's kind of it's really important for me that they all kind of happen at the same time. So yeah. So we got any music to check out? Yeah.
You're just sending. So
all right. With no further ado, let's hear Malka's stuff. So do you want to say anything, or will we just play? Is any order, anyone you'd like to do first? Or
so it's Emil's class was first, and then Tony's, and then Kamaru's, and then Jan's class.
Okay, so should we start with Emil?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Awesome. Cool. Wow, I love it. I mean, I really love the sounds, particularly the synth sounds that you're using. They're just gorgeous, really, really beautiful sounds. And the synth that comes through at the end, I just wasn't expecting that. Beautiful, really cool, really, really cool. Awesome stuff. Oh, see, that often, you know, what is it when you start creating and the happy accidents, as they call it.
Yeah.
I love those. This happen and you're like, perfect. That's exactly what I need.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really cool. Okay, so which one next? We go to.
So then we go to Tony.
Okay.
Hey, 'Cause I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Hey, I remember that. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Wow, I love it. I mean, I really love the sounds, Awesome. Yay. I think my favorite bit about that was those little melodies, and the way that they were like, oh, really cool. It's really cool groove, just locked straight in. Are you a DJ?
Yeah, I'm a DJ.
Yeah, you can. I think you can tell DJs like you just like the sense of like you just get a really good rhythm and a good vibe like immediately. It's like straight in. It's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We can... Now, Kamaru, yeah. Okay. I also love the panning that you're doing. So this movement, it's already like really cool.
Right.
Yay. Yes. Awesome. I mean, this one again is two things. Like the way that you get that movement with what did you do with did you pan them slightly, or did you put auto pan on, or how did you get that kind of shaky movement?
I used the shakers, and then I auto pan them. Yeah.
And then did you automate the auto pan, or did you put an LFO onto the auto pan, or did you?
I did something on the auto pan. I didn't put the LFO, but also I also varied the volume of the shaker.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah, really cool. Really, really cool. Awesome. Okay, now to Jan. Yep, last one, Jan. Great. Ooh. Yeah, very cool. Very kind of like West Coast, 90s West Coast kind of, cool, really cool. Awesome. Okay, wow, amazing stuff that you four tracks that you've developed in a week. That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. So you've got to get home and keep on producing and keep on developing those ideas, eh?
Thank you, Jane. I definitely reach out to for more lessons, more traits, and collaborative projects as well.
Okay, so should I'm kind of finding it a little hard to hear you, but I'm just going to keep on playing, okay? So so this is, I'm not quite sure, this is by DJ
Ivy.
DJ Ivy, cool.
Ivy, yeah.
Right. DJ Ivy. Ow.
Oh my god, you're gonna kill this beat.
Haitaki mabombo manika, inataka tuma kuantokiva. Bill nitalipa kwanza kani kuririma. Efo na kifo kanali, sijai katagwil katikati. Sipati na kata palifai. Kabado tuko sherehe na haitaki asira. Haitaki mabombo manika, inataka tuma kuantokiva. Bill nitalipa kwanza kani kuririma. Efo na kifo kanali, sijai katagwil katikati. Sipati na kata bale pali haifai. Kabado unapima.
Na umati na jimez kama bangi alipono na mababi yesi kuashe ni banisi mkate na ukapijo mchai na amani alimesa kabaki ya konditi juu ya haki atakikani na umati akitoka atabaki hindio wori kwa mzazi tusilete za uzani nimeua
tuko sherehe na itaki asi tuko sherehe na itaki asi tuko sherehe 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 na itaki
bitch ni bad man 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 bitch ni bad manners, bitch ni bad manners, bitch ni bad manners, bitch ni bad manners. Bitch me body man.
Wow, this is amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. Seriously good. Whose track is this?
She's her track, Ivy.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Wow, you've got some skills. Seriously. Really, really good. I mean, I don't have anything to say other than I was just enjoying it, and that there's nothing, you know, when you're just losing yourself in the music, that sounds pretty good, right? That's really, really good. Awesome stuff. Where's the sample from?
I sampled two tracks. Migente.
I can't. Can you? I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying I sampled two tracks. The first one is Migente. It's by some. What do you call it?
Migente.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it's this.
Yeah, I've forgotten who did Migente, but that melody is J Balvin. Yes, J Balvin's Migente. And
okay. Wow. Cool.
I reached out to some local artists for the vocals because I had the idea and I wanted to match the South African sound with the Kenyan sound.
Cool.
Because I play a lot of South African music, but I also play lots of Kenyan music, so I wanted to find a common ground where we could, you know, just create magic, and that's the goal.
Yeah, cool. Wow, really cool. It's a really, really beautiful track. Great stuff. Okay, I'm going to keep on moving because I want to try and hear as many of these as possible, and I'm going to have to go soon. So let's keep on rolling. Fluid. Hang on. Good. Okay, here we go. awesome. Amazing. Woo! So hypnotic. I feel like I've got to pull myself out of the trance of that. That was just beautiful. Really, really mesmerizing. Where was the sound? Did you tell me about the sound? Like, is that a sample, or did you how did you get that? The kind, it's like is it a glass? Tell me about it.
I used some. Well, I have a friend in Switzerland. I met him when I was doing a show, and when he asked me what I was doing, if I was producing, and he sent me some things that I've never used. So they come in singles and it comes in loops. So the drums were 808 kicks. I just did consistent 808 kicks with a fade at the end. Then I had a groove loop, and I had glass. Glass is actually one of the instruments from Ableton. Like it's an instrument. I played around with it. I think I added a filter, and I was using the returns. I played a little with them. That's why they sound like they're in a hollow. Yeah, basically what I feel. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, really great. Yay. Awesome. Really good stuff. Okay. Keeping on moving. Now I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have time for probably to do one. Well, we've got, actually, there's only two more. Okay. So I'll do both. And then, because no one misses out. Okay. So next up is Unreleased by Rafiki. Woo!
Wiki mzima imepita, nimefanya nini? Ila kuketi na kulia sikuweza hata kujiamini. Mazingira yananiwasha, bila hela na nao niliyewamini kaniwacha. The situation left me in a bit stupenda. Kweli kikulacho ni kinachokupenda. Tenda wema nenda kabla mate wa kutema. Rafiki kazoea kuinua watu na muziki, lakini mawaidha yake mwenyewe hasiti kusaliti. Karibia nitakusimulia hii hadithi. Juzi liko mechi 250, juu ya mavela na waza vitu ka 250. Ghafla simu napigiwa na rafiki, napigwa na butwa na zuba. Imeko miaka kasitini. I should've listened to my instincts. I should've rolled my eyes, pushed my phone away and distant. But I let an old friend back in my life, hoping that this time she'll left behind a knife. Who gave me a soul? Roho kafungua, vyakula nikanunua. Kumbe shida tupu na chimbua. Ningejua, ningetimua kabla kugundua. Wasadili, ya kitu kinanikula akili mimi. Ni mwamini nani? Ni mwamini nani? Listen man, I thought I learned my lesson. And when my friend came back to me, I thought it was a blessing. Chose to overlook the fact that something was missing. Now I'm stressing cause I gave an idiot a session. My confession, I needed some compassion. Told her all my secrets, now she using them to fashion. Weapons to undo me and she doing it with passion. Listen to the words instead of looking at the action. How I'm numb. Man, how I feel so dumb. I gave into my feelings, I was blinded for a minute. Scope the view with the mind so young. Basi, nauliza swali hili. Ni ungwana au ni ujinga kamili? Mtu kukubali kuumizwa mara mbili. Rudi nyuma kujiuliza, what's the deal? What's the deal? Yeah, kitu kinanikula akili mimi. Ni mwamini nani? Na yule wa dhati kafuata umati. Sikiza hiki kilio cha haki. Rafiki mwema weke, kupata mwengine ni bahati. Rafiki wa dhati, kumwamini mwengine tachukua wakati. Maybe this shot of whiskey will help my fucking anger. Lanza kama wiki kawaida, sikutarajia itakuwa hivi kwisha, sikutarajia itakuwa hivi. Lanza kama wiki kawaida, sikutarajia itakuwa hivi no. Lakini story yangu naye yake kwisha, sikutarajia itakuwa hivi.
Wow. Woo. Yes. Amazing. Whoa, that was so fast. Woo. Really, really cool.
Thank you.
Who did this one? I can't. Who can you? I can't see because the screen is really small. Put up your hand, or just so I can kind of see who did it.
She's online.
Here.
She didn't make it.
Right. Sorry, you're like, hey. Yeah. Wow. So cool. Really, really cool. Great stuff.
Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay. So the last one, which is Love D's one. Awesome. Okay. So do you want? We have
The third one. She'd like to play the third track,
which is Black Moon.
Oh,
sorry, third track. I see it. Yeah, you're like, oh no, third track. Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, here we go. Last track of the evening, well, for me at least. Lovely. Whoa, wow.
That's fire, that's fire.
Oof, it's like kind of affected me emotionally. It's like really got in there. Wow, amazing. Oh my gosh, what an amazing, such an amazing array of music. I can't believe that you've all done this stuff in a week. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. I feel really honored, and I feel more connected to all of you now that I know what you sound like, what music is inside you. So thank you so much for sharing it with me. Wow. I'm like, I hope that I get to find a way to work with you in the future. I don't know, we have to sort something out. Really, really cool. Well, thank you so much. Now I do have to go. I have to go to my friend's place for dinner. So thank you so much, everyone. Happy New Year.
Blessings. Thank you.
And
bye.
Yeah. Ciao.
Bye, Shay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Wow, amazing. Also, I also have to go now because I'm cooking dinner for guests. So, but I really that was amazing. I'm really so happy to have watched that and for you to share those tracks. So happy, and Emma, what an amazing job Emma has done in making this all happen. I think big round of applause for Emma. And let's connect again soon. I hope. I have one thing. I want you all to fill in end of course survey. Just a few questions on how it went, what was good for you, what wasn't so good. That'd be really helpful in helping plan for future ones. So I will send that to Emma in the next days, and would really appreciate it if you fill that out. And so I want to say good night and enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Good night and thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.